Hello, Awesome Soul here with an ultra quick guide for D.R.O.N E Early Access. Just a note here, as this game is progressing in development very quickly, there might be things here that I obviously do not cover because they're not out yet, but I do believe this will give you a very basic foundation of the most important things you will need to know. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First things first, the controls. How exactly do you fly your drone? Well, that is very simple. W will make you fly forward, A will make you strafe to the left, S will make you drive backwards, and D will make you strafe to the right. Very simple there, but there are other inputs you need to know. So there are the Q key, that will make you roll to the left, and E will make you roll to the right. Double tapping these buttons will also net you other options as well. Double tapping W will engage your boost. This will deplete your boost meter. However, picking up the blue floating power-ups around the map will give you additional boost charges. And when not in use, it will slowly regenerate over time as well. You can also dodge by double tapping A, S, or D, and you'll move in those respective directions. Also, you can do a quick roll with Q or E. This is useful for dodging missiles as it throws off the lock ever so slightly, and it will buy you a little bit more time. The other inputs you need to know about are the spacebar. This will make you go up. The left control button will make you go down, and shift will engage fast drive mode. Not to be confused with boost. This is basically a simple speed boost. Makes it a little bit harder to navigate tight corners, but this is the mode you should be flying in most times. And in the options, you can actually turn it on so you always fly at this speed, and if you hold down shift, you will go in the slow mode. I would recommend switching over to this as it does make it a whole lot easier to dodge around without having to hold shift all the time. Next up, we go on to combat, and the first and most important thing is the red dot. Always aim for this dot. When you're looking at a target, a red dot will appear, or I guess rather a red circle. This is where you should be shooting. This is kind of the game calculating where your target is going to be if it follows its current trajectory. It's also taking into account your current weapon type and how fast those projectiles move. Next, we go on to weapons, and the first one is the chain gun. This is a very good all-around weapon. It has the fastest projectile speed, at least out of the 4 we currently have available at the time of this video, and as such, it is good in just about any situation. A very good all-around weapon, and one that I would recommend you trying out when you're starting out in the game. In the drone select screen, which you can use the scroll wheel to select your drone, you can go ahead and pick one that has a 3-barreled gun on it. That's what you're looking for if you want the chain gun. Next is the pulse laser, a weapon somewhat similar to the chain gun in that it fires relatively rapid fire, but the projectiles don't quite move at the same pace. But each projectile deals more damage than a single bullet from a chain gun, if that makes sense. Because of this, you're going to want to use this at a mid-range, whereas the chain gun can kind of be used at all ranges. This one is mid-range and a little less if you'd like. But you can also use it indoors, and it has a very unique property of ricochet. You can use this to your advantage when it comes to a room full of high explosives. You can shoot it maybe at a random angle, and hopefully you'll get a chain reaction going and killing everyone inside. Of course though, if you're in a room with lots of explosives, perhaps it's not the best idea to be standing next to one when you're using a laser. The third weapon is the solo gun, a very interesting and unique weapon because it fires a very slow but large projectile. Obviously, because of this slow projectile nature, it cannot really be used effectively at long and even mid-range, so it's kind of a close-range weapon. However, being hit by one of these will deal quite a lot of damage, and on top of that, it has a bit of a stun effect, as being hit by this weapon will cause the enemy drone to kind of shift perspective. Say it's firing directly at you, you hit it, and then it will randomly go in a different direction, or at least aim in a different direction, buying you a bit more time to line up your next shot and fire again, throwing them off course once more. And last but certainly not least, we have the scatter shot, or the shotgun, as most people refer to it, and it is exactly what you think. Now, it can be used at range. However, because of its spread, it's not going to be dealing that much damage. So you're going to want to use this in close quarters and try and stay indoors. Basically, you're trying to go for areas where players try to fly through quite often, especially if there's lots of missile pickups or a whole bunch of very important health pickups like a large health pack or maybe even some boost packs. Try and stay around those areas, so you're pretty much guaranteed to have a target seeking out those at some point. Also, I did touch on it a little bit, but the spawn mechanic in this game is a little bit unique in that that you actually spawn as a drone, but not the fighting drone. This one is actually your spawn drone. So you can choose your spawn point. So you can try and fly up, maybe get a high perspective, or maybe you can fly down to where a missile pack spawns. Or you could get yourself in front of a missile pack and a boost pack. It's really up to you. And finally, there are other modes in the game. We have free-for-all, which is, yes, a free-for-all. Don't really need to explain that. We've got team deathmatch, which supports up to 4 different teams. And we have Powerball. Basically, the ball spawns in the center, and you try and fly it into the enemy base, scoring a point. If you have control of the ball, you will not be able to fire your weapons, but pressing the fire button will fire the ball out. You can pass this to an ally, or you can use it to score. And I do believe that will do it, at least for now. If there are certain things you have questions about, leave them in the comment section down below. I will be sure to cover them in future videos, as I'm most likely going to be doing more of these as the game progresses. But yes, with that, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you all so very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.